can just record and I'll edit whatever. I am reading all this drama happening on General Hospital behind the scenes. It's juicier than the actual storylines.
So who's in love with who?
No, it's not that at all. It's all vaccine related and mask related. So so General Hospital is the only soap that has decided to make a mandate that everyone has to be vaccinated to work.
Oh no, I didn't. Okay.
So 2 of the stars have been let go. Like the big star. No, it's a big deal. Like a big deal. Like 2 of the stars, they won't because they're anti-vax. And they're openly
their whole career on that show. That's a big decision.
That's what I yeah. Okay, yes.
That's a big decision because how hard did they work to get there? And they're giving up their career essentially in the interim, I guess.
Right.
Because of how they feel about the vaccination. That's a big deal.
It is. No, it is.
Or are they key characters in the show?
Yes. No, seriously. I mean, no, that's why it's making all this news. It's like, and one of the guys now also is transphobic. He retweeted an anti-trans ad.
Oh.
He's going for the trifecta. He's just like, and he's kind of a little racist too. He's like throwing some racism in there. Just throwing it all out there. And he is, and I'll say his name because I think he's disgusting. His name is Ingo Rademacher. He's an actor who's been around for a long time. He played Jax, major character on General Hospital for over 20 years. And he has been a pain for years behind the scenes, but it's like completely coming out now. So I have no problem. I'll spill the tea. I don't care, or spill the coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think he's disgusting, and I don't mind going on record saying that. And so I'm glad he's off the show. I'm glad he's fully sitting, like as you just said, he's fully sitting in how he feels, which I think that is right. It's right to do that. I mean, everybody has a right to feel how they feel, but you're right. You're giving up a career that you've worked hard at for decades over this particular issue. I don't know if I could do that. I mean, I don't know if there's an issue that's that strong for me to give up my whole career. I've quit jobs for bad for things, but I don't know if I give up. I mean, I don't know if there's anything.
Well, that's different. Jobs are different than a career, though, right? I mean, especially in film and television, because there's so much competition, and once you get in and you start earning money and you start practicing your craft, to just cut that off it's a very interesting decision. But the whole concept of choose is a very interesting concept. You must now choose. And I have family and friends who are kind of in that same boat. They're not in the entertainment space, but they work for employers that employ over 100 people. And they're required to go into a workplace. And they're now having to make their own personal choices. Do I get vaccinated or do I lose my job?
What's funny is yesterday I went to Starbucks and I wanted to stay. And they're like, they have signs everywhere. And they're like, do you have your vaccine card? Which I carried with me anyway. I was like, oh, that's right. And so I showed it and I stayed. I mean, I get to stay at Starbucks and do some work, but it was like, I forgot that in LA County, that's the mandate.
That is the mandate. Yeah.
So I'm curious how they're going to do it.
I have mine on my phone.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That you can go to that website and get it just
on
your phone.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting because I have a family member visiting me right now who is not vaccinated. So there's no, I mean, we could go shopping, but there's no going out to dinner unless we're sitting on a patio.
Right.
And it's interesting watching her digest all of these changes now to our scheduling and what we can and can't do because she's not vaccinated. So I think it's I think it's an interesting time, and it's unfortunately such a diverse conversation. It's hard to really have an open, honest conversation about it because again, you have to take a side.
You have to. It's one of those few times you actually have to take a side. To even debate it, to even like you have to feel strongly one way or the other. That's very interesting you say that. Yeah, to actually talk about it. You can't be like, you have to kind of be like, no, this is how I feel. And you have to go, no, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And then try to see if what works.
Yeah.
I've lost family members because I won't talk, because they won't get vaccinated, and I refuse to go to their functions. My cousin's wedding,
Yeah, I know.
I'm still sad about that, but I'm not backing down. I had to take a side. And apparently they're taking a side, so we've not spoken to each other.
Yeah,
It's been a couple months.
I'm sorry about that.
Me too, but I'm not sorry about that, because I've definitely, if anybody knows me, you follow me online, I've lost followers because of this, and I don't really care. I'm for the vaccination. I'm for the vaccination. I'm very clear about that. I have voiced my opinion about why I feel people who aren't vaccinated. I've done that, and I don't care. I feel like I was the same way when I was saying last year, wash your hands. I was the same way I was saying, wear a mask. And I was saying, I've been the same way all the way through. So like you said, I picked a side at the beginning, and I've just consistently been the same. So a lot of my followers, I don't say fans, it's too weird, but a lot of my followers are still with me, but I've lost them. They've told me to go screw myself and things like that, and that's fine. I believe.
I guess my curiosity about any topic that's diverse is, why can't we agree to disagree, and be respectful of one another without having to be nasty and highly judgmental and just cutting you off? Like, why can't they enjoy you with knowing that you just don't agree on the vaccination? Now, the vaccination is a huge deal, and I get why there's so much, really, strong feelings behind it. But I think that's what our culture is becoming, right? Through politics, through vaccination, we're learning to take a side and vehemently defend that side, so much so that we can't just agree to disagree and continue to enjoy one another's company. It has to be, oh, you don't agree with me, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It seems that's kind of where we're heading. And I think that in some cases, like a vaccination, that's a big decision. That's a big decision for a lot of people. And gosh, I would hate to think that what my personal choice was, and I do have a choice, and I am vaccinated. And there was, I had an absolute thought process about the vaccination and getting vaccinated. But I have family and friends who don't, and fortunately enough, my relationships haven't been super challenged by it. But on both sides, they're highly judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel you, and I feel bad that you're losing, connections with family and friends and followers because they just don't agree with you.
Well, I think it goes back to what you said. It goes to choice, and so you were very smart by saying that. I mean, this is a thing that everyone has to pick a side. You just have to, and I think that's why it's happening. And for me, I'm highly judgmental. I know I am, and everything you're saying is completely. I agree with that. I think for me and for many of us, this is a public health issue, so it's different to me than pronouns or you put trash in your front lawn. I think it's a different. For me, there is no middle ground. It just isn't. I fully admit it. I am fully judgmental, fully admit it. But I will have discussion, like where I'm going now. I will have discussion, and again, you're vaccinated, so it's not like you're opposite. But I will have discussion with people. I'll talk to anybody. I mean, I do it for a living. I have people on my shows where we have opposing views. That's what I do for a living. So I always tell people all the time, and I do opinion television where 3 of us hosts, we all have a different opinion about the same show. That's just normal for me. I have no problem with that. But in the end, I just feel like this is a health issue. So for me, it kind of stands out very different. Health issues and racism issues, I think, are two things for me. I just can't. I have no middle ground on. I just think if you're racist,
zero tolerance, right? These are zero tolerance
yes.
subject matters.
I think or violence against women. There's certain things that for me, it's just like, I just don't. I mean, there's other things I can go, well, okay, or it's not my particular issue, but I understand something like, like that. I know we have a lot, you're right, we have a lot of issues right now, like abortion and, women's rights and still the Me Too movement, trans. So there's a lot of issues right now that are coming to the forefront. I think in some ways it's wonderful that it's all coming out and it's all coming up, because for so long we were silent. No one was saying anything. And you and I come from we're like the last generation that came from from discrimination towards women, gay, people of color. Like, it was just accepted. It was accepted to call a woman sweetie and honey and baby. I mean, you're a woman, I mean, that's the thing. Or, look at your boobs when they're talking to you and things like that. It was acceptable that that's what men do. Men are pigs. We all kind of joke. We all joked about it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
We joke about it. We kind of say that's how it is. I think the casting couch is around for 100 years. It's not something new. It's all been, I mean, I've been propositioned a couple of times back in my past. I mean, it's one of those things. It's something that just, when I was a kid, I was always told to man up, men don't cry, like all that stuff. We just kind of went, that's how it is. We all never say it. So I'm kind of happy that everybody's up in arms on some level. Everybody's they're bringing stuff up, because hopefully with all of this, some change will happen. That's positive. Like hopefully something, a lot of tragedy and stuff. Sometimes beauty comes out. Some of our best art comes out. Some of the best music comes out. And sometimes good laws happen, or good things, things happen. So I think this vaccination thing and this, well, first it was the mask thing. It was the mask thing. I think that's what people are really, our democracy is fragile. I mean, we saw it on January 6th. It's a very fragile democracy. We have to uphold, we have to protect that. I just think there's certain issues, to me, I think I have no tolerance for. I will fully admit that. Because I'm older too, I'm just like, that's it, I'm done. I just don't have any tolerance for it. But I will talk to anybody. I mean, my cousin and I was open to have a discussion with her. I was like, I'll talk to you about it, and wonder why you're not doing some kind of protocols at this wedding. And later it turns out people got COVID when they were there. So I'm glad I didn't go. So I was, unfortunately, I'm not happy at all about it, but I was unfortunately correct. It's like I'm an ex-medical professional. I have friends in the business. So like you, I took my time to figure out for me too. Because I had Bell's palsy and I heard things about Bell's palsy, and so I tell everybody, just do your research. Everybody, do your research. Talk to your doctors. Hopefully you have a good doctor. Everybody has good doctors either. That's a problem. That's a whole other issue too. I hate my doctor, but that's another story. But talk to your doctors, talk to somebody, talk to somebody you can trust about it, and see what's best for, and there. But I don't know. It's a very, you're right. It's a very divided time. I don't have any answer. I just want my politics. I don't have any answer.
Right. But I mean, so getting back to a person, like, you can make a decision not to go to a wedding or not to go to a concert or not to go, out at all where there's public people ever. Or you can take the path of, look, I want to live my life. I want to still experience life and be a part of a community. And, both paths have risk and reward. And so I think that overall, how devastating this virus is. And it is. I mean, we know people who have passed away, who have been very sick, who have been in the hospital for months before that they can get out, wondering if they're going to make it out. I mean, these are, this is not a joke. It's not something that you can brush off like, I'm young.
Right.
I'm not worried about it.
Right.
So it is interesting to me how people approach, the subject matter, because from my experience and my conversations, it's different. Mine, and I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it, mine was highly selfish. I wanted to continue my life. I didn't want to disrupt my life any more than I had to. I felt the vaccination was a responsible thing to do for my community. There was an element of that, certainly, but mostly it's just, I want to be free to live my life.
Yeah.
So that's pretty selfish of me. But I'm okay with that, because that was my choice. And that's why I did move forward with the vaccination, and so, on that subject, we traveled this weekend.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Be
yeah.
friends. We were in Texas,
Right.
and
We're in Texas. Oh, yeah.
yeah, we were in first time in Texas.
You've been in Texas? Really? Oh, wow.
I had never been to Texas before. We were in the Grand Prairie area, and then we traveled into Fort Worth for a football game on Saturday.
Oh, Fort Worth, yes.
And but here's an interesting fun fact. We're in the airport and we're in line to come home. We're in Dallas Fort Worth airport. And this lady behind me, who's at a senior level, was like anxious. She was like, oh, this line's not moving. Oh, look at these people. They're going ahead of us. And she was really getting anxious. And my husband, Les, got into a conversation with a group ahead of him. And so they were standing more in a circle. And he was the last number in his category. And so, of course, he was going to wait for everyone else to go ahead of him. Yeah. But the lady behind me, who was very busy managing everyone else's business, when I said, oh, I reminded Les, because he was in conversation, I said, these folks, go for it. Please go ahead. You're ahead of it. And they're like, oh, no, it's okay. No worry. Like, everyone's very nice. And like, no, you guys go ahead. We'll wait. And the lady, says to me, oh my gosh, that was very nice of you. It's good to know that there are still nice people in the world. And I looked at her and I said, well, they were first.
Right.
She goes, well, they didn't even say thank you. I'm like, they absolutely did say thank you. But it was the right thing to do because after all, they were first. Right. Her take on it, her perspective, she was standing literally, James, right on my left shoulder, watching the whole thing. But what she took from it was, oh, those are nasty people. They didn't thank you for being nice.
But you guys weren't upset or anything. You guys went, no, everything was fine. So why are you upset? Like, we're fine.
In her world, she thought that we did something nice and we were not paid a proper respect for it. Yeah. But she broke us up in two categories immediately, nice people and not nice people.
Oh, right.
Without even understanding what was really transpiring. It's very dangerous times. And I'm just pointing out in this very, random social kind of experience, how that hit me when I was walking to get to the plane, thinking to myself, how did she see that so differently from what really was going on? And those were her filters, making judgments about everything that was happening because she didn't want to wait.
Basically, right. Basically.
She didn't want to wait. And so she thought I did something nice for someone else when technically they were supposed to go ahead of us. And so when I pointed that out, she thought they didn't thank me, which they did. And then, of course, she had to voice her opinion about it immediately.
Of course.
So that's the times that we're living in. She immediately passed judgment on me, good person, passed judgment on the other folks, bad people. And she settled on that.
Interesting. I know. Yeah. Everybody, it's funny. I actually like parts of Texas. I've gone to Texas many times. And I mean, we used to go to Fort every year for our MAG conference. Let's go all the time. Me and Nick, we had a good time there. I have family in Dallas. It's a whole different world. I mean, Texas is a whole different world. I mean, I've been to Austin.
But they're so friendly. The people are so friendly.
No, I've not had a problem. I've never. That's my point. I've never had a problem with regular folk. I'm saying it on purpose that way. Regular folk in Texas, they've been nice to me. I've been welcoming. I was a keynote speaker for an organizing conference in Houston before, and it was great. And I didn't know Houston's the fourth largest city in America. It's huge. It reminds me of LA. It reminds me of LA. So much traffic, everything. But I had a great time. I met up with some fans of When Calls the Heart, my show, The Hardys. Some of them met me up for lunch, and we had everybody's so there's some good barbecue. Everybody's talking. But we always hear, because we're in California, the filters of what we hear about Texas, and I'm sure it's bad. I'm sure there's things I don't want to do, but I've been there so many times that I've actually never had a bad experience in Texas.
I believe you, having spent a couple of days there, and I mean, we were all over in those couple of days. I was in a pharmacy, I was in a stadium, I was an airport, and we were all over points in between restaurants. Everybody's super nice. And no one really, talking about anything socially political, anything like that, just kind of normal people.
I have a question for you. So what game did you go see?
Air Force Army.
Okay.
Yeah, Les started his college career at the Air Force Academy on a football scholarship. So we have this whole circle of friends through the Air Force Academy, a lot of grads, fighter pilots, really cool people. But we would normally have traveled back to Colorado Springs to go to this game. We go every year. It's a Commanders in Chief trophy game, which unfortunately we did not bring home with us. So we lost the game, but it was a great experience. And but we go back every year. But they gave up their home field advantage 2 years in a row to travel to Texas and have their game in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was fun.
How was your plane ride? Anything crazy? No. Yeah. Speaking of choice, speaking of going crazy, anything?
No. It was, again, everything was really good. Everything. I had not one.
No, I'm sorry, buddy. It was great. My experience was great. I'm sorry.
It was great. It was a great trip, and everything was smooth. We had no bumps in the road, and everyone was really nice. And
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Of course,
No
Miss has a great experience.
sorry.
Of course, she has a great experience. Of course.
Sorry, no drama here.
Yeah.
I can go there though on previous trips to other places if you want to talk.
Yeah, so you like to know. I know this.
You look very handsome this morning. I've been looking at you for like the last 25 minutes now, and I want to make sure I say it because you look so handsome this morning.
Well, thank you. I slept. Daylight savings time always screws me over. And yesterday I had 4 shows yesterday. I was so tired. I was like, what are we doing on Bold and Beautiful? What are we doing? I mean, I was like falling asleep on camera. I mean, I was so tired. I always do this thing where it's an extra hour. I'm so excited. I'm going to sleep. No, that extra hour, I stay awake. It's an extra hour. So, thank you. I'm trying because I know this color looks good on me. It's a good color for me. So
I love the purple. I've said that before.
And then the hair.
But yeah, no, you just look so handsome this morning.
Well, thank you. I totally appreciate that. I need to hear that. I live by myself. I don't have nobody, so thank you. I receive it. I take it in. It's hard when you're single by yourself and you don't get compliments. So
you don't get the positive feedback. Yeah.
Not always. Well, thank you. I'll take it. I always say how pretty you are, of course, but I'll take it. No, I think it's one of those things where like it's why you want to hear that once in a while. Like I just want to hear it. I don't care who it's from. I just want to hear it. Like, yeah, you look nice today. Well, thank you.
It's funny when you've been with the same person as 14 years now, Les and I. There are times when we'll get ready for an evening out, and I'll come down the stairs, and I have like done my makeup and I've done my hair, and I'm wearing something kind of special, and he'll look at me and he'll go, "Wow, you look really beautiful." And that's the moment when I know, God, we've been together so long. And I relish that moment because it's like, thank you.
It's like, oh my goodness, you look like that. Great. Oh, I forgot you could look like that. Thank you. Thank you. You're like, oh my God, Melissa, crazy. No.
Yeah. So, and I love every minute of it. So, but I'm just saying it is funny when you're in a relationship for a long time, you forget. So, yeah.
So those of us who are single, we don't have that. So it was funny because I got treated to lunch the other day. From just a friend. But I was like, I'm not used to that. I'm just kind of like, I went to pull out my wallet, and everything's like, oh no, so I invited you to lunch, so I'm a treat, and it's on me. I grabbed the thing, and I was like, I'm not used to. I'm used to doing. When I go to a grocery store and I have all my groceries, they're like, how can you carry all those groceries? I'm like, I'm single. I have to figure out how to do this. Like, there's nobody. I cook for myself. I clean. Like, there's nobody doing anything for me. So, in many ways, we're very self-sufficient. I know a lot of us, we just know how to navigate the world. Regular things that you guys, like I said, in relationships may take for granted or forget about or kind of happen. For us, it's always on the forefront. We always have to do. I make my bed last night. I'm like, why can't I have somebody I come home and someone goes, I've made the bed, honey. It's done. The bed is done. No, I don't have that. I have to make my own bed, and I'm tired. Or when cooking, it's like, I'm tired of cooking. I remember the pandemic last year. because there was, well, for those first 3-4 months, there was nothing open, basically. It was just delivery. I did delivery a lot because I was like, I'm tired of cooking. I was cooking all the time. I just because we couldn't go out. We couldn't go anywhere. Delivery fees after a while are a little expensive. So I was buying food and I was cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner like every day. And I'm like, if I see a stove one more time, I'm gonna just like shoot myself. Like I don't want a pan. I don't want to fry an egg. I was just like, I do everything myself.
I quit the kitchen.
I quit. That's it.
I quit the kitchen.
I can't quit the kitchen. It's me. I can't go on strike. It's me.
You know, sometimes I go so long without cooking. When I get around to it, I start missing my things. I start missing my plus. I forgot I had you. I'm so glad to see you. You know, there's that whole conversation in my head that goes on with, oh my God, I forgot I had that. I'm not a big, and especially during the week, you know, I mean, come on, 12, 14-hour days, forget about it. I'm not going home and cooking. Order me something up. I'll pick it up on the way home.
I know. The other last night, that all those shows, I ordered barbecue. I said, I don't have the energy to even stand in the kitchen. So I ordered my Baby Blues barbecue. Shout out to Baby Blues Barbecue, sponsor show. They're so good. And there's one location near me in Venice. So they came and it was delicious.
Oh, I bet.
But I said, you're right. I'm like, I'm tired. I literally gave it all to the audience. And like for you, give it all to your work. You get, I don't know how these women or people did back in the day when they were like, my mother was a single mom and she was doing this and cooking and this and that. I don't know how to do all that.
I don't know. I think they felt like they had no choice.
Probably. That's probably what it is. You're right. There you go.
Yeah, they had to do it.
Back to choice again.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, seriously.
Of course they did. But, you know, I mean, I would have opted for more McDonald's growing up.
The fries. But I know my grandmother especially, she raised 5 boys and worked like 2 jobs and kept the house spotless. So I remember when I first came into the world, when I was a kid, I remember seeing the house. I mean, the house was always, just pristine. I mean, so she had the plastic on the furniture in the living room, so you get all that stuff. But like everything else was clean. And when she would cook, I used to cook with her as a kid. We clean up afterwards. You always clean up afterwards. You ate. I mean, she had everything, but she raised 5 boys doing that. I'm like, girl. And she had some friends, I guess. Like this was everyone. So I mean, she had a couple of male gentleman callers, I guess, after my grandfather. But she was somehow. I mean, I give to women anyway. I think women are amazing anyway. They're the stronger sex, obviously, than men. Women can do it all. I don't know how, but I think you're right. It's back to choice. It's back to they felt this is how it's how it's done.
How it's done.
It's how it's always been.
Yeah.
We have to do this, and they just fall right into line. And now folks are upset. Now folks say, "I want delivery." Uber Eats. Yes, you're like, yeah, me here, right here, me right here. Now again, that's fine. I think it's it's not no less than anything else. But I just think for me, being single, I do everything myself. So that's just make my own coffee. I do everything. No one's doing it for. So when someone does something, I'm like, what? At one time I think I cried once. Like, why are you crying? It's just lunch. I'm like, I can't believe it. It's nice. It hits you sometimes. They're like, oh, my son. Sometimes I always tell. During the pandemic, I had friends who would check on me, and I love that because they're like, check on your single friends during the pandemic. There was a whole movement about that because because a lot of us were locked up, especially in LA. We were locked up.
Yeah. So
we're gonna end the show for this show. Our next show. We have a guest. This is Coffee and Conversation with James and
Melissa.
You can follow us on all social media platforms, and you can also follow us on all audio streaming services, and of course on YouTube on JLJ Media. Thanks for watching our shows. They're doing very well. Actually, this week, the last show we did is in our top 10. So like people are getting good feedbacks and they like our conversation. So we're going to continue doing more coffee and conversation. Oops, ow! I almost dropped that.